Yo, welcome family to episode 24 of the Big Minor Problem Talk podcast show, man, where we get straight to the point. I'm Chuck, aka Big Will, with my brother from another one that side, AG, aka Mr. Iliana Jones.
What's happening?
Yes, sir. We want to let y'all know, man, that Big Minor Problem Talk podcast show is sponsored by Mill Hub Media, Profound Entertainment, where they have a selection of new artists and gamers. Also, remember to check out the Big Minor Problem Talk podcast show over those internet airways. You can check us out on the One United radio station, Black Owned, as we like to move, which you'll be able to stream at oneunitedradio.com, or you can download the One United Radio app. You can also check us out every other Saturday from 5 to 6 on the number one base internet radio station out of Houston, Texas. That's 92 KELZ Radio, which can be streamed live at 92KELZ.com, or you can download the 92 KELZ app to tune in. Another black situation as we like to move. So continue to support the Big Money No Problems ENT family and be on the lookout for more moves to be made to further this platform and to continue to give our listeners what they want to hear. So stay tuned in. So as I always like to say, man, welcome again and again and again, 24 times over, man, to the Big Money No Problem Talk podcast show, man. Straight into the point conversation. AG, man, go ahead and introduce our family tonight.
What's up, family? Hey, tonight we got a special guest here tonight, man. We got Antonio Williams, you know what I mean? Former ESPN journalist, recruiter for the Phoenix, you know what I'm saying? And Sports Connect podcast talk show, man. You know, a very intelligent brother from what I've seen. I'm waiting to hear some of his opinions and, you know what I mean, some of his life stories and travels and accomplishments, you know what I'm saying? You know, we salute you, bro. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Again, I appreciate you all sharing the platform with me. It's an honor to meet you. You know, Chuck and I, we go back a little bit and we talked about this game and everything that sort of affects us. We've talked about a whole bunch of things. You know, we get on the phone, it's hours. So
right.
Yeah. So I'm honored to be here, man. I appreciate you all sharing the platform with me for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate it. So, family, man, like we always say, man, do what you do to vibe out with us during this episode. And let's get straight into the point.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you already know. So just to get started, man, it's only right, like we always do, man. What's your thought process before we let you introduce fully yourself, man? What's your thought process with the social issues, man? How the culture is pretty much now we in the forefront. It seems to be right now. So and especially with this voting process and how big and massive of what's going on. So just what's your thought process on what's going on so far?
You know, in the pre-show, I want to talk about some of the stuff that we talked about in the pre-show. And this year has been a crazy year for everybody. And as we know, let's be honest here, if the world has a cold, that means us as a people, we got the flu. Right. And we're seeing this, and literally, I mean, figuratively and literally now with COVID-19, with how that affects us. Right. So so with that being said, as tough as this year has been, man, and I certainly hope that I pray to the Most High that everybody stays healthy and stays safe. You know, I also say that in a lot of respects, this is a year that we needed because I feel like as a collective, as a people, there's an awakening that needs to happen. And it's starting to happen. And you know, some of these incidents and events that we've seen, basically first when COVID first started and quarantine and lockdown started, and then, of course, Memorial Day of this year, these are events that have happened that, quite frankly, have made us confront a lot of things that maybe some of us haven't been either comfortable with confronting or maybe some of us think that some of these things don't exist altogether. So with that being said, I think as tough as this year has been, and I certainly hope it gets better, I think to a certain extent, this is a year that was needed for us.
It's definitely a year where we had to push it to the limits, man. You know what I mean? We being tested. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
We're being tested. You know what I mean? Like we said earlier, this is a time where a lot of us are, you know, we move and groove throughout, you know what I mean, our day-to-day processes, man. But this is a time where we're forced to live and deal, you know what I mean, within our own realities. You know what I mean? It's something that throughout your work day, throughout your school day, throughout your the daily rigmarole, you know what I'm saying, that you can kind of avoid. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No question.
And like I tell people, man, this is one of those situations. This has been one of those years where It's almost like when you tell somebody when you're doing a little bit too much, hey, just take a break, sit down, just so you can kind of decompress. That's basically what's been going on.
Right.
Like
Yes, sir.
you've been having to sit down to kind of decompress and kind of figure out. And I think as a country, that's what we had to do, because through this time frame of just having to sit, it highlighted everything that we've been talking about, especially when it comes to our culture, of what we still deal with on a regular basis. Because it was funny, I was listening to, because we got a little radio show that we do, so we was listening to some music from back in the day, and when you listen to hip hop artists, I'm like, it's crazy how those same plights from like 5 to 8 to 10 years ago is still the same arguments that we are dealing with in 2020. And so
they fit the same schematic, man.
Oh, it's almost like it's like that music is made for today, because we still going through what we going through. So it's kind of crazy that we are in that position of where we get to where it's starting to get a little bit highlighted. And November 3rd, people, that's the time where we can actually try to affect that change of what we're looking for. So I think with this movement and with the culture, I think it's been one of those things to where it's like now people start to pay attention to what actually matters and how serious voting really is. Because if you didn't think about it, don't care about it before, you understand now, like at your local level, y'all need to start voting in more people that look like us to start taking care of us.
No, I mean, not even that. You know what I mean? Even deeper than that, man. You know what I mean? Start, especially on the local level. You know what I mean? Research the people, man. You know what I mean? We got Google and, you know what I mean, Wikipedia and, you know what I'm saying, and all of that for a read. You know what I'm saying? Google it, research. You know what I mean? Don't just go out there and just and cast their vote just, you know what I mean, off the whim. You know what I'm saying? Google them. You know what I mean? Because I mean, we should be knowing what these people stand for and what, you know what I mean, what foundation and what platform and what plateau these people stand on. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we, you know what I mean, in my opinion, I'll say. You know, that's the direction.
You spot on with that, and I want to add to what both of you all have said, man, because you brothers are spot on with this. You know, one of the things that's happened to us, and it's one way that, you know, and Chuck alluded to it when he said that the music. Again, I'm a hip hop guy. I'm a Tupac guy. I'll say that, right? And and
true.
On his birthday, I literally posted, it is brilliant and tragic that his music is relevant today. I posted that on his birthday, June 16th, right? And so what you're speaking to is spot on with that. And what it is to a certain extent, we are trapped in a maze where we are making progress without making progress, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, so as we concentrate on these social issues, one of the things that you just said about making sure you don't cast that vote willy-nilly. Well, how do we hold the people accountable that we're voting for? You know how we really do that? We live in a capitalist society, and all we talk about is social change. Exactly. Right? So that's how you continue to make progress without making progress. So along with that social change and all those victories that come from a social standpoint, we need to make some economic victories. We need to have some economic bases as well, where we can hold people accountable in a capitalist society with our dollars. And hey, these are our agendas. If you don't push those agendas forward, and the thing that we have to normalize, this isn't radical. When people start hearing this, they think it's radical. When somebody that of our color, of our hue says this. But again, we live in a capitalist society. This isn't a radical thought, right? What do lobbyists do? What do political action groups do? They vote with their dollars, and they hold the people in office accountable with their dollars. And they say, hey, if you don't push this agenda forward, that's fine. These millions of dollars that you want, you're not getting those, right? So we have to continue to try and normalize us building an economic base. Right.
And that's the thing, man. You know, I'm kind of right with you on that. And you know, me and Chuck have talked about it before. You know what I mean? Even with, you know, hey, the protesting and the George Floyd's and, you know what I mean, all of our, you know what I mean, different, you know what I mean, unfortunate incidents and whatnot, you know what I mean, protesting again, I don't, you know what I mean, protest, you know what I'm saying, rally. But at the same point in time, you captured it. You know what I mean? We are in a capitalist, you know what I'm saying, country. So protest with the monies. You know what I mean? The only way to affect this country is with the dollars. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And
They
to
don't
your
care.
point,
Go ahead.
no, spot on. I was going to say too, and to your point, when I say normalizing us having an economic base, right? When we are spending together, oftentimes, and I love the fact that, okay, we vote with our dollars and we spend with our dollars when we protest, right? But Black-owned businesses that are out here, we have to move beyond supporting them during protest times. We got to normalize supporting them. So not supporting them out of spite because we mad at somebody or because somebody made you tight. We support them because that's out of habit. And I say this because, as brothers, I am a Black man that grew up in California, born in St. Louis, grew up in Los Angeles, and graduated from a Jewish university in Boston. And one of the things that I saw is how Jewish people move from an economic standpoint. That dollar circulates and bounces in their community, numerous times, because they are not just consumers. They're manufacturers. They provide services. So when they spend money within their community, it is not out of spite for somebody else. It's out of habit. And that's where we need to get to, and not just doing it out of emotion, because as we know, doing stuff out of emotion and doing stuff out of discipline are different, right?
Right.
You do
here's
stuff out of
here's the difference between protesting and rioting.
Right. When you're doing stuff out of emotion, that's one thing. The emotion, what happens with our emotions? They make us tired, right?
Yeah.
After a while, it's not habit. When you do something out of discipline, it is habit. And it has nothing to do with emotions. And I think we need to get to that point. And yes, we got to go through some things to get to this point. And hopefully what we're going through now is the precursor to us doing things out of discipline and not out of emotion. So,
let me ask you this, Antonio. Let me ask. So, I mean, as we all know, we are in a what's trending society. You know what I mean? So, do you think that we are able to normalize these type of scenarios? You know what I mean? When everything that we that we do is trending. What's trending now? You know what I'm saying? Because George Floyd was trending, but Kanye could easily be trending. You know what I'm saying? In the next month or so. I mean, he been in the background, but it's on to the next thing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Do you think that that's possible?
I'll say this, and again about emotion. Us as a people are a very spiritual people. Generally speaking, we're a very spiritual people, right? Which is part of the reason why, when we have experienced the things that we've experienced worldwide, what do we always turn to? We turn to faith. And that's been one of the things that sort of brought us through. No matter what that faith is, whether you're a Christian and the different denominations of Christianity, whether you are Islamic and you're a Muslim, or whatever that faith is, whether you're 5% or whether you're a Hebrew Israelite, whatever that faith is, right? But a byproduct oftentimes of being spiritual is being very emotional. And because of that byproduct of us being very emotional, it becomes very easy to take advantage of us as a people. Because people, what's that famous line for Friday? You playing with my emotions, right?
Right. My money is my emotions, and you playing with it.
So people, they find things that make us very emotional, and they tap on our emotions. And when they tap into our emotions, we talk about tapping in, right? When they tap into our emotions, they take advantage of us oftentimes. And because you become emotional and you focus on things that, quote unquote, don't matter as much as the real issue. And so while we are being emotional about certain things, the real issue is just going right by our faces. And we're blinded by this thing, by this shiny object that captures our emotion. And so we have to, again, part of taking that emotion out is, some of the brothers that were in the bubble, we're in the NBA, one of the things that we saw a lot on people's jerseys was education reform, right? So for me, that education reform doesn't mean to me go into an already broken system, and that broken system perfects how they continue to keep us asleep at the wheel. That's not what education reform spoke to me. What that speaks to me is us learning the real truth about who we really are. And what we really, and once we start learning what we really are, that takes a lot of emotion out of it. Because once you start figuring out who you really are, a lot of these tactics that people use to tap into our emotions, you see it from a mile away. You see it from 1,000 miles away because you're not moving with emotion, because the education took the emotion out of it. And once you get that real education, it takes the emotion out of it. Then you start making moves with power, and you start leveraging who you really are.
I agree with you. It's the education and the self-identification.
Fact.
You know what I'm saying? When you identify with self, you don't necessarily have to move with the masses. You know what I mean? Hence, you don't have to, you know what I mean, follow everything that's trending. You know what I mean? You can think with self-thought and self, you know what I mean, within your own internal person, and kind of, you know what I mean, gauge a little more logic to what's going on, and it can alleviate a lot of those a lot of the emotional thinking, because, you know, we look at our phones every day, you know what I mean, social media, and everybody's in an uproar. So when everybody's in an uproar, you want to get in the uproar. Everybody's down there, you want to get down. You know what I'm saying? So that self-identification can separate you from that, which can, you know what I mean, help you to eliminate the emotional side and let your wheels turn. You know what I'm saying?
No question. And as I say that, you know, the emotion from it doesn't mean that you don't hold people accountable for what they do, right?
Yep.
Right? It doesn't mean that you don't hold them accountable. It's once you remove the emotion from it. Now you can hold them accountable to the extent that they need to be held accountable to, right? Because you are not
without ill will and ill judgment.
Exactly right. Right. It's not about that. It's about moving with power and moving in truth. And so when I saw that education reform, that's what it spoke to me, was we need to start learning and accepting and embracing who we really are. And you know, and we saw this, and again, we talked about this. I talked about being a Pac fan, and you know, I can say this to you guys, brothers, because I'm amongst family. I'm 47 years old. So I say that for a reason, because I was fortunate enough to be in an era of hip hop where we actually controlled the music. We owned the music. And when we
said something right there. You said something.
When we controlled the music and owned the music, the messages were different, right? If you think about this, Public Enemy, Ice Cube, when he dropped the Death Certificate, was going #1 on the pop charts, right? Without airplay on the radio.
Facts.
And so they weren't playing these songs on the radio. So you had two things that were going on. You had us as a people, and I take this back to 1995 when there was the Million Man March, right? When we were talking about us in unity, where were we learning about this from? It wasn't on TV.
Nope.
It was through the music. The rappers were talking about it. I remember Too Short, and Getting It was like, he said, "It's time to come up, put your dollar bills in the air." He said, "Meet me at the White House." And I was there because I'm one in a million. Black man rising. Right? That's what the man said.
Yeah.
But you know what though? It was media too, though. You know what I mean? It was partially media too. You know, Farrakhan had to say it. You know what I mean? Because, you know, Farrakhan was a strong point in that moment. You know what I mean? And they wanted to shut Farrakhan up. You know what I'm saying? Farrakhan was like, "Hey, y'all the reason that the Million Man March, you know, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have media access to reach all these black men across the country, basically. You know what I'm saying?
So
it was in the
with that music."
Exactly. And that's when they shut that down. You know what I mean? That's when the music came into play. You know what I mean? Farrakhan put it out there. Now y'all showed that hold on. Yeah, we did just kind of F up a little bit. You know what I mean? But that's when, you know what I mean, Short Dog and, you know what I mean, everybody else started, Hey, you had the movie Get on the Bus?
But so to your point, right? When albums are going #1 on the pop charts, right? On the pop charts, not the R&B charts.
Not the hip hop,
right?
The pop chart,
When they are #1 on the pop charts, you got two things happening. We're buying it, and other folks are buying it too, right? And so so with that going on, you have us learning about ourselves because, you know, Public Enemy just dropped an album. So when they did Fight the Power, and Chuck in the last verse was like, Elvis was the hero the most, right? And he said what he said about Elvis and he said about John Wayne. You know, as a kid, I grew up with John Wayne movies on in the house. So when I heard that line about him and Elvis movies in the house as well, I researched like, wait a minute, man, why is he saying that about Elvis and John? This is me as a kid, right? So I found some stuff out. So you got two things going on when it's number one on the pop charts. You have us learning about it, and if an album is going number one on the pop charts again, other people are buying it. That means they're listening to it too.
Yep.
So now other people are looking and like, wait a minute, man, I didn't know that about Elvis. Now I know why my friend Antonio is mad all the time.
Right. So, and that's before you got privy to Chuck Berry, and you know what I mean, and really understood, you know what I'm saying, exactly what was going on, the ramifications and everything.
No question. So now, if the system is going to perpetuate itself, not only can I not know about myself, they can't know why I'm angry either. Look at us and be like, man, what's wrong with these? What's wrong with you guys? Like, there's no more slavery. You can come and sit in the same restaurant as us, right? So, that perpetuates the system. But if they're learning, they're young. So these albums are going number one because their young people are buying these as well, right?
Exactly.
And so, you know, when I played at, as I said, I played at Brandeis University in Boston. So I remember being in Boston and watching the greatest concert that I've ever seen. Take all the Def Jams out when I went and I was able to see Run DMC, LL Cool J, Houdini. Take that out, right? I saw Jermaine Dupri as a backup dancer. I saw him as a backup dancer. And, you know, like Cameron said, you gotta love it. I know you, right? I saw it, and so take those concerts out, which were incredible concerts, right? By the way. The best concert that I ever saw was the Up in Smoke tour. I saw it in Boston when they did the DVD in Worcester, Massachusetts. Actually, they filmed it 45 minutes outside of Boston. When they did the DVD for the Up in, I'm gauging myself. When they were doing DVD, when they did the DVD for the Up in Smoke tour, they recorded it in Worcester. I was there. Right?
Okay.
I did that for a reason, because when I panned that crowd, majority of the people in that crowd did not look like me.
Exactly.
And that's being truthful. So when you have music that is reflecting, as you said, Chuck, the movement, the culture, when it's reflecting the culture and people are learning lessons and those gems are dropped in that music, not only am I feeling better about myself and I'm coming into an era of enlightenment, they are coming into an era of enlightenment and learning about some of the things that, you know, when you get the line, hey, I didn't do it. That was my great grandfather, right?
Right. Don't blame me for my predecessors, my ancestors.
Right.
You know what I'm
but
saying?
now when they start listening to that stuff, now they're saying, wait a minute. So that has to be, if you want the system to continue to perpetuate itself, and for us to not, for lack of a better term, leverage who we are as a people, where we can leverage it and we actually eat first. You have to keep it status quo, and you know that's where now we're in an era where our best hip hop artists have to act now if they want to eat.
Exactly. So just to kind of maneuver that now, because I want to go into your background being of course working with ESPN, and I know you for sure being a basketball scout for the Phoenix Suns and everything like that. And we had some conversations about, that world and in that sports world and everything. It was funny when I seen like a little tidbit of conversation, because you know how the president was getting on the NBA and everything like that and all that stuff. And then Mark Cuban kind of chimed in on when they was talking about the ratings and because of the Black Lives Matter and all that. Do you think any of that played a role? Because like I said, I'm still an NBA fan. I watched everything, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate it when you talk about the NBA and how in tune they are to their audience. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So do you kind of appreciate the fact, or do you think that played a part? Because I understand it was the bubble. I mean, it was a lot going on for people to really tune in to just basketball. So Do you think the NBA did its job by bringing that awareness to what's been going on out here?
Yeah, I do. I think the NBA did a really good job. I'll say this. One of the things that really, again, I talk about this a lot, but this really needs to be normalized. You know, I'm a word guy, right? At one point in time, I was rapping.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm a word guy, which is, you know, part of the reason why I was able to go to ESPN and you know, now back in the media again. Different reports that I wrote from a scouting perspective. I'm a word guy. So being a word guy makes you very literal. You listen to semantics, right? So semantics, if you say the word outspoken, if you say the word militant, if you say the word radical, it puts you in the mindset of somebody is doing something wrong.
Yep.
Whenever we talk about any type of community galvanizing, from our standpoint, you are immediately labeled as outspoken, militant, and radical. So when people say that puts them in the mindset that you are saying something wrong.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And I love that, man, because I'm very literal myself, man. You know what I mean? Like I tell people, I get in conversations with people, man, and I say, hey, watch the words that you use with me. I take words literally. You know what I mean? The true definition of the term. You know what I'm saying? So don't use it in a sideways manner, because I'm gonna take it sideways if you use it in that way. You know? So you're absolutely on point with that.
So semantics are big. And so when people say, you know, if LeBron says, you know, literally look at the backlash of when somebody says, and I'm talking about, you know, not the movement, I'm talking about the ideology, not the organization. If somebody says Black Lives Matter, right, immediately it draws all of these, well, all lives matter, blue lives matter. Now blue policemen are now a race, right?
Right.
Crazy.
So it literally draws, because again, there is, and I say this,
which is weird, because, you know what I mean, for so many years, I mean, you heard whites only.
Right, exactly. So, you know, I have been fortunate enough to, this great game of basketball has taken me all over the world, right? Let's talk about this country in particular. I've lived in, again, as I said, I was born in St. Louis. I grew up in California. I've been in Atlanta. I've lived in Toronto. I mean, I've lived in Ottawa in Canada. I've been in, as I said, Atlanta. I've been in Chicago. I've been in New York. I've been in Boston.
Chicago,
right?
salute.
Yay. So and I've been to Dallas. Now I'm in Dallas, right? And, I'm saying this for a reason, because, and this is what I'm saying about semantics and normalizing things. Because when you go in virtually any major city in America, there are groups or ethnicities that have particular parts of town where they operate the majority of the businesses. They live in the majority of the residences, and those dollars circulate, right? And nobody thinks that is some sort of statement or some militant or outspoken statement, right? But let you say, I have X amount of dollars, I'm going to go and support a Black business. We are literally met with, you are keeping racism going.
Right, you're radical now. You know what I mean? You're in a rebel fashion, and you say that. And you've been here in Chicago. You know, Chicago is one of the most deeply segregated cities, man.
Absolutely,
and it's weird because this is like, but it's as deeply segregated as it is. You know what I mean? We still don't. You know what I mean? The monies are not funnel back into the Black communities. You know what I mean? As segregated as the Polish community, the Latin community, the Chinese community, you know what I mean, community, you know what I'm saying? It's just, everybody, when you go into those different communities, and you know what I'm saying, and you see the shops, the stores, the meat markets, the everything, you know what I mean, until you get to the ghetto, is what they call it. You know what I mean?
Right. No
and then
question.
But you see the Chinese, and you see the Polish, and you see the you know what I mean, everybody else in the black community. We are the only community that do not, you know what I mean, pump the dollars back into ourselves.
No question. And so as I say that, this is not about, committing, I guess for lack of a better term, financial terrorism, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in order to deal as equals, and this goes back to Chuck's question, right? In order to deal as equals, we have to deal as equals. And we are still in a situation where our existence is essentially in the palms of other people's hands, because we don't, generally speaking, create jobs. We don't create services. We are consumers, and consumers only, for the most part. And yes, we're starting to see more businesses that are black owned, that are starting to really start to generate and bubble and percolate, which is what we need to see. So again, now we are dealing as equals. So now, for people that look at us and say, hey, you guys need to pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. Hey, guess what? Now we can do that, because we are concentrating on manufacturing. We are concentrating on producing services as well. So now we can pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, and we can deal as equals, as opposed to always dealing and asking for permission.
But the thing is, man, I'm sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
No, I was going to say, that's for me, what you said is absolutely true. And what is happening right now, but the issue we always have within our community is the consistency. That's where the problem used to always lie. We will always get to...
That's my guy right there. That's my guy right there.
We will always get to a point to where it's like, all right, we at that standpoint to where, like right now in 2020, our coaches in the forefront, everybody doing what they're doing to become successful and everything like that. But the question I ask is, okay, now that our coach is truly being recognized and it's understandable when it comes to the injustices, they starting to give us more of an opportunity, which is still sad to me, because I don't feel like you should be giving me nothing. I'm going to earn it like everybody else. But at the same time, once you get to a certain status, let's keep the consistency the way the others do and keep bringing us up. You know what I'm saying? Because the problem is, because when the money get recycled, like we talked about it before, when the money get recycled in our community, what tends to happen? When they see a black community thriving, next thing you know, the others come in. I want to offer you all this money to take away everything you doing in this community that's helping your community, and to push it just so I can still keep that separation. And it's still that divide of what we need. That's what you
took the thoughts right out of my head, man. Man, like we aren't only consumers, we are creators.
That's what exactly what I was. No question.
We are creators. You know what I mean? But the problem is we've had. Yes, right now is a key time for us to create and capitalize on ourselves. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is just like, hopefully it doesn't, go down that same drainage. You know what I mean? Where we create and let somebody else come in and flash what they say, flash a bag in front of us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then capitalize on us, and then we become the consumer of what we created.
Again.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. No question. And you all are spot on with that. It's about our influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about the influence that we bring around the world, and it's about our influence, and it's about what's our let's be honest here, and I hate to say it like this, but I'm going to say it like this for the sake of this conversation, because it goes right in context with this conversation. The most important capital for any business is human capital. It's a fight for talent, right?
Yeah.
And it is our, when you look at what is pop culture, right? We can let's peel the onion and go behind the curtain on pop culture. Virtually everything from fashion, from slang, from dances,
everything.
You name it. It is
once,
to your point,
which was once condemned,
creative. Right?
Which was what you go to a Walmart commercial, man. You see a Walmart commercial on Family Time with your watching TV, man. A Walmart commercial has hip hop. Right. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop and R&B. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna give a shout out to my uncle Devon Granger, man. He had told me something. He was like, man, you know, the problem that we have is we think for the now. You know what I'm saying? Okay, yes, you can get something that's lucrative now. You know what I mean? And it might be the bag. You know what I mean? Lucrative for now, but you can't think for this year. You gotta think for year 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
No question.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. And we are, and part of the reason again about being emotional, desperation is an emotion, right? And so to your point, when we don't have opportunities, or when we don't control the I would say the goods and services that we make popular, when we don't control those and we get frozen out of opportunities so much, it creates desperation. So somebody can come in with the bag and say, you know what, right?
Yep.
Here. And it's exactly more than what you've ever seen in your life.
Mm-hmm. That's synonymous, Chuck, to what we be saying on the 92 KL show as it relates to music. You know what I mean? When we tell people about, you know, owning the masters. You know what I'm saying? Own your masters, own your rights. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, then you just a slave to a whole trade system. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody else can come in and buy your masters from whoever own it now. You know what I mean? And now it's still going around. But only person not eating off of your work is you.
Is you.
So to your point, speaking about masters, to your point, right? Shout out to the great Nipsey Hussle for understanding that, right?
Man,
and then
R.I.P.
No doubt. And then secondly, you know, R.I.P. to another guy that did this, right? Since Michael Jackson owned the Beatles' masters, you know what he did? He gave Little Richard his masters back, right?
I didn't even know that.
When he bought the Beatles catalog, he also got Little Richard's catalog, and he gave Little Richard his publishing back.
Wow! Hey, you just shed some light on me, brother.
So it's what you're speaking to is exactly the thing. And again, it is so hard because what happens is, as you just said, we are creators, right? So you see an amount that you've never seen before. And the thought process is, man, I can do this. What Beyonce say? I woke up like this. So I can roll out of bed and do this, right?
Right.
So yeah, take this. Because I can make, you know, like what Dre said, when Dre left Death Row, right? Dre left Death Row with nothing.
Nothing.
Zero.
Yep.
He said, I can go recreate this and do it bigger and do it better, right?
And what did he do?
He did.
Right. so I say that because, you know, let me say this. It's one of the things that I believe. Were you looking at it from a medical standpoint, right? Once you injure a part of your body, there's trauma in the part of your body, right? But when it starts to heal, you know what that trauma brings? It brings resistance. So the trauma that we've been through as a people, right, works against us at times because it's built the resistance. What's the saying that everybody says? Man, we don't look like what we've been through.
It's scar tissue.
Right. So that resistance becomes this, right? What do we tell our kids? We got to work twice as hard to get half the credit. That builds up a resistance, right?
Yep.
So when you build up that resistance, you know what it does? It allows people to continue to skate and not be held accountable for the things that they do because we continue to just overcome it. So we get hit 9 times and we don't say anything. Then the 10th time we get hit, we say something. And the person that hit us the previous 9 times says, well, man, I hit you 9 straight times and you didn't do anything. Why are you saying something about it now?
So hey, that I like that analogy. It's like one that I always tell people, man. You know, it's a saying that one of my uncles told me, man. He was like, it was a old guy in the house, and the city flooded. You know what I mean? And his whole bottom level flooded. He went upstairs. And somebody came through on a boat and said, "Hey, let us get you out of here. He's like, no, God got me. You know what I'm saying? The water rose higher. He had to go up to the roof. They came through with a helicopter. Like, let's get you up out of here. He was like, no, God got me. Unfortunately, the water just kind of took him under. You know what I mean? He got up to the gates of heaven, and he said, God, I thought you know what I mean? I thought you had me. He was like, hey man, I sent you a boat, a helicopter. You know what I'm saying? What else did you want me to do? You know what I mean?
Facts. Absolutely.
And
that's what it is. Go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
No, you good. I was gonna say, man, that's what kind of get back into the sports theme of things, man. That's what kind of got me when it came to the situation that happened in Wisconsin, and then when the Milwaukee Bucks decided to take a stand and everything like that. And I think when it comes to the league as a whole, and when it comes to these black athletes, I think they still need to get to a point to where they understand the power that they really do hold and have. Because I felt like when the Bucks made that choice to sit, I almost felt like the season should have been stopped there, like in my opinion. Because I felt like wasn't nobody really that much motivated, because you're doing all these things to try to bring awareness, but there's still incidents that are still talked about. There's still incidents that are still going on. And I get it. I see everybody enjoying themselves, Lakers enjoying themselves, everybody enjoying themselves, but at the same time, that's still a moment, because we are still in 2020 where these issues are still moving and where we still have these problems. So do you think, in a sports sense, that the league should have kind of they could have took more of a break on it, or took it? So I don't feel like the league, I feel like the league is mimicking society. We give you a little bit of handout. And once we get a handout, like the talk was, we're going to open up our arenas for voting polls and everything, this, that, and other. But to me, that's a handout. When you got these billionaire owners only giving millions of dollars to certain black organizations and things of that nature, that's just a handout, because they understand that the basketball player, and I'm gonna talk about LeBron and all of them, y'all are still products. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are still in that. Y'all are still what they're paying you to do, whatever job that you're doing. So do you feel like, I think, and I'm talking about all sports, do you feel like with the black athlete, how much should they be understanding the power? Like, how do you feel they should be able to start to maneuver that way into their lane, the way they understand, like, hey man, we the product. They don't move if we don't move.
Right. Hey, and even on top of that, you know what I mean? Should they be saluting to Cap? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? Like, real deal. You know what I mean? Because, hey, to me, you know what I mean? I'm not a sports fanatic. You know what I mean? I couldn't play sports since high school. I had surgery on my knee, so I just kind of, you know what I mean, dropped the whole sports thing. But, you know what I mean? Cap was already on it. You know what I mean? So how is it so, you know what I mean? How is it so, you know what I mean, so much of an issue now, you know what I mean, when it was
5-6 years ago. It was
exactly.
an issue 5-6 years ago.
Cap, you know what I mean, when Cap, you know what I mean, he took that knee. You know what I'm saying?
But it became because of these times. Now it's acceptable. It wasn't acceptable back then, but it's acceptable now. And then you got on. That's why I say, man, that's why I'm gonna ask you, like, just in the sports world as alone, do you feel like these black athletes should be taking more of a stand, in your opinion?
Well, I'll say this. What I like and what I would want from the black athlete is the black athlete that chooses to take a stand, educates themselves on the issue, and takes that stand. That's what I would like, because I want you to organically be a part of this change that we need to see. It's got to come from your heart. It cannot be an obligation. Right?
Exactly.
So for the ones that this doesn't
active
resonate,
boredom.
Right. So for the ones that this doesn't resonate with, I would rather them sit down. One of the things that I don't like from our community is that whenever an athlete makes it, whenever an entertainer makes it, we make it an obligation that they have to lead us. Well, here's the thing. Let's go to the people that, if there's an athlete like a Muhammad Ali, in this case, a LeBron James or Colin Kaepernick, or Eric Reed, that chooses to make a stand about this, they have educated themselves on the issue. They choose to make a stand about it, then by all means, use your platform to bring more awareness and create that change, right? But if you are an athlete that this being that public face, that part of it doesn't resonate with you, right? Don't do that, because we don't need, we are in such a state that we don't need, let me use the term, and this is quote a term that Mike Tomlin used, right? I'm just using the term to illustrate the point. This is not, I don't mean this in a literal sense. I mean this in a figurative sense, because that's what he used it in a figurative sense, right? He said, I want volunteers, not hostages.
Yep. Bingo.
Volunteers, not hostages.
Bingo.
So this resonates with you, and clearly when you look at a guy like LeBron James, this organically resonates with him, right? This man said when he was 17, 18 years old, about to be drafted, he said, I want to be a global icon. Things that he's put in place have been planned out, right? This is what he wanted to do. So he accepted that mantle organically, right? But we are the only group of people, right, that go completely away from people that are civically trained to lead us from a movement standpoint. We go completely past them and demand that athletes and entertainers do it. If that's not their lane, just because, again, there we go. And I'm not a shut up and dribble guy, obviously, right? But if they want to shut up and dribble, let them shut up and dribble. And so, and for the ones that really are about it, you know, as Master P, for the ones that are really about it, let them be about it.
Facts. And that was my whole argument when it came to the situation when the Milwaukee Bucks and all of them, when they decided to sit the one game and do everything that they did. Sometimes I feel like that was it almost felt like a hostage moment and not a volunteer moment. And like you said, there's certain people who, if this is what you do and you 110 into it, like the Muhammad Ali, what LeBron doing right now, Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed, all the boys who took those stands, if that's your movement and that's your platform and what you want to do, we all with you, because it's about being authentic. I respect you more when you authentic than a dude, I'm just doing it because it looks good and I don't want to be that one black athlete that's making decisions. Nah, that's not you. I'm going to respect the fact that you about getting your money and you understand that you're not at a certain level to be able to do that. You get what I'm saying? But at the same, but I put that on my bad. I was gonna say, as you continue to grow, though, my thing is educate yourself, because when you start to do it later and you start to understand, I don't want to look at you as, okay, now that you got the money and you got a little power with you, now all of a sudden I'm taking the knee with you. Nah, if you want to take the knee, if you wanted to take the knee with the man from the beginning, don't make it an issue now. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, but that's applicable to, you know what I mean, not even just the superstars, man, the entertainers and the professional sports players, man. You know, that's for people, period. You know, Chuck, you know, I've said this, you know what I mean, as far as how, you know what I mean, other cultures have, you know what I mean, diversified themselves enough to take part in this Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I mean? I like what you said, Antonio. You know what I mean? If you wasn't organic enough to, you know what I mean, do it when, you know what I mean, everybody's been aware of it, you know what I'm saying, but now that it's forced down your throat, you know what I mean, now you're gonna take, you know what I mean, some type of action, and I use the phrase out of boredom, you know what I mean. Only thing different now, you know what I'm saying, is from years on that has preceded us, you know what I mean, it's COVID-19 and everybody's out of work, and you know what I mean, everybody's at home, and the media is telling you go out and protest, but don't riot, you know what I mean? So now you got black, you know what I mean, 2 or 3 black friends, and you know what I mean, you're gonna stand up for them black friends you have, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's not organic, you know what I mean? So I can't take the whole movement seriously, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's not a consistent basis with it. Now, 5 years from now, when all of this kind of blows over and you're still standing on that point, you know what I mean? When you leave your job, you take off work for a day to go protest because something happened. Oh yeah, I take you seriously then, Captain.
No question, man. And you know, and you should be strategic about it, right? Again, about not being emotional. And you know, I can say this, and this is, you know, one of the things I like to say, brothers, is hashtag RTO, real talk only, right? It's one of the things I post a lot, right?
Right.
So let me give you some real talk, right? With Jay-Z, right? I can tell you from the era of hip hop that I come from, great as a lyricist as Jay-Z has always been, in the beginning, I wasn't a big fan of Jay-Z. Again, recognizing his lyricism, right? But I wasn't a big fan. Let me tell you why. Because if you look at a lot of his music, especially as he was establishing himself, and this is why I was saying about being strategic, about being part of the movement. A lot of the music, and this is where I've evolved in my fandom for Jay-Z in this regard. Because if you listen to a lot of the music as he was establishing himself, right? There wasn't a lot of statements from a community standpoint about us, right? His music was talking about a lot of different other things other than empowerment for our people. That became his segue because, again, we lost control of the music. That was his segue into now leveraging that. Now when you see him, a lot of the stuff that he is doing and saying is about us, right?
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
One of the things about Jay-Z, again, when you look at him, again, being a word guy, right? I think Jay-Z is a planner. Jay-Z's not very emotional. Jay-Z's a planner. So who's to say that the play was, okay, you know what? I'm coming into the game owning my masses, because remember, he couldn't get a deal.
Yep.
Get a deal. So he owned his, he came in the game the way that he came in the game, talking about the stuff that he talked about. Who's to say that he did? Now he is sitting in the room with NFL owners now. He is
making decisions. You know what I mean?
With NFL owners,
a part of the decision making process.
Right. So now I again hashtag real talk only. I had to take a step back and was like, wait a minute, maybe he played me, right? Instead of, because if you come out talking about the things that as the industry was changing and we weren't even controlling the music anymore, he couldn't. What did he say? What did he say? What's the line? And whenever I talk about Jay-Z, I always say this. What was the line that he said about he wanted to rap like Talib? Remember he said that? And he said it didn't make sense. It didn't, or common sense, but it didn't make sense. Remember he said it didn't make sense, meaning it didn't make money, right?
Right.
In 2020, whenever this man does some songs, right? Whenever this man drops an album whenever he feels like it, whenever his wife drops a project whenever she feels like it, that project is about the stuff that he said he wished he could rap about.
Real deal.
So maybe he played me, and that's real talk only.
And that's the argument. That's the same argument I give sometimes when people talk about people when they reach a certain level, they get corporate and everything like that, especially with our people. That's the same argument I give sometimes when we talk about Mike Jordan. When he was coming up, that being political and being in that, it didn't make sense at that point in time in his life at that point. But right now, Mike is a real advocate as a owner who's giving plenty of money to certain movements, especially when it comes to our community and everything as a whole. So it's like, so I understand.
Why self-destruct? Why self-destruct the present?
Right.
When it's the building, when it's the foundation for the future.
No question. And
you know what I'm saying? And that's what we got to learn, man. You know, we so caught up in, you know what I mean, in social media and the regular media, you know what I mean, that we judge everything. You know what I mean? We always in judgmental status. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we trying to pinpoint everything that everybody's doing wrong right now. You know what I mean? But you don't really, you're not in that person's brain. You don't know what their mode of operation is. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Where they're going.
But it's what's been embedded. And then me and AG did a show on this, and we kind of talk about it. Is what's been embedded in our culture as a whole, from all the way back to the Willie Lynch arguments and the days and those conversations on how you separate our culture. You know what I'm saying? Between old and young, and who got this and who got that, light skin, dark skin, all this, that, and the other. So in our culture, it's hard to really look at another person and want to believe in their movement, because we always feel like we got to know everything that's going on. Nah, because
No,
if we set the foundation, let me set the foundation for me to be moved. Criticize me when I ain't doing what I need to be doing once I get there. That's when you criticize.
Right.
Outside of that,
So,
don't say nothing to me while I'm trying to get there.
no
I don't
question.
know.
So,
I don't
so,
know one
go ahead.
person that, you know what I mean, that's a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, that didn't make, you know what I'm saying, mistakes in their travels to get there. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I don't know one prophet, you know what I'm saying, one profound speaker that didn't make, you know what I mean, a mistake, or, you know, I mean, you're still human, you know what I mean? Just because you have some type of superstardom or some type of, you know what I mean, higher platform, or you're in the upper echelon, don't mean that you're not privy to making mistakes, or, you know what I mean, you're not privy to going down, you know what I mean? You got to think about it. Our roads are winding as we're trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? So you think theirs might have been expedited a little bit, but it was still a fast track winding road. You know what I mean? You had forks in the road. You know what I mean? You had to make a decision real quick. Boom, 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 boom. I know what my intentions are, but let me travel this road. You know what I'm saying? So you can't. Only God can judge. Pac said
it. There it is, right? And so for me, you know, I'm learning to take my emotion out of it and step back as I watch people, right? Because, you know, I was so critical as a young guy when he was coming through. Like, again, great lyricist. That's undeniable. But I was like, man, like, you know, the guys that I listened to were always talking about this or talking, and this dude doesn't say anything about this stuff, right? It's all this other stuff that he's talking about, right? And so it's the same way that, and the reason why I look at him like that is because when you look at how he's able to stay relevant in a young person's game, what he did was, as he was building and when he was starting to get to the apex of his powers as an artist, Jay-Z could have literally dropped, right, the album that would have driven hip hop culture crazy. He could have literally dropped an album. You know how on the death certificate, Ice Cube had the death side and the life side, right? Jay-Z could have literally dropped an album. And we talked about the chairman. There was this rumor called the chairman of the boards that Dre and Timberland were going to do an album. One side was going to be all Dre production. The other side was going to be all Timberland production.
I remember that.
Right?
I remember that.
Jay-Z could have been the one artist on that album. He could have literally called Timberland and called Dre and said, hey, let's do this. And it would have driven the culture crazy, right?
Now, he did try to do it with the South, though. You know what I mean? He tried to do it with UGK, with Big Pimp.
Yeah, but I'm saying those two, right, that are arguably that are in the discussion as the greatest producers in this game.
Powerhouse.
Right? And so because their work has transcended the culture of hip hop. Their work has transcended that, right? They're as producers, and I'll get to my point about Jay, why I think of him like this, but their work as producers has given us movements, right? Again, talking about us as being creators, right? What established Justin Timberlake as a solo artist? Who did he go to? Timberland.
Yep.
True.
Nelly Furtado went to Timberland. Dre has given us
Eminem,
Snoop Dogg, NWA, given to us by Dr. Dre.
Yep.
So I'm saying that. So I say that because Jay-Z could have literally said, "I'm doing records, and if it ain't them two cats producing, I'm not doing the record." He literally could have done that, but you know what he did? In a young man's game, again, staying ahead and not being emotional. In a young person's game, because I don't want to disrespect the women lyricists out there like Rhapsody. We got some monsters out there. I don't want to just Rock. I don't want to disrespect them. We got some monsters, right? As women lyricists. So I say that for a reason. What Jay-Z did was, instead of calling Timberland and Dre for every single track, he called Just Blaze and some dude named Kanye when they were trying to make it.
Yeah.
So now, with that, the young person's game, now you are playing the long game.
Yeah.
Instead of in a young competitive game attacking all the young lyricists and young producers that are coming for the throne, you embrace them. Now you ride the wave with them. Now there's longevity. Now Drake says in Fear, he said, don't take this the wrong way, but I never cried when Pac died, but I probably will when Jay does.
Mm-hmm.
He embraced all those young people, so now they carry him. That's what the agency game is about, right? That carries his name, right? So Jay-Z is always playing chess. So that's why now my respect for him is done a 180.
I can see that. I can see that.
And so I say that because when somebody is making their way, we talk about sports now. When somebody is making their way and maybe they don't have the platform and the money like a LeBron James, we got to give them time. We can't just go and totally be like, oh man, you're not with it, right?
Right.
You're not with it now. So we got to give them time because we don't know what they're working on, right? And so so I just say that because and then to what you were saying, Chuck, about the Bucks and about us playing. You know, I love this sport. I'm married to this sport, right? My wife was a Division II All-American. I'm all the way married to this sport, right? As a player, working in it, my family is this sport. This sport of basketball has been a big part of my socialization. All right. Mm-hmm. So I say that for a reason. So anytime that these athletes, women and men, because I'm a big fan of the WNBA as well, I got to say that, right? Mm-hmm. Whenever they take the court, I'm going to watch and I'm going to support. But with the social things that we had going on and in the midst of a pandemic, I was firmly in the camp of, you know what, maybe we should sit this one out. And the reason why I say that is because, right, there's this narrative in the media when players sit out games, right, use their platform to make a statement. There's this narrative that, man, so you got to have it planned out what exactly you're going to do next, right? Mm-hmm. I don't like that, and I'll tell you why I don't like it. I like it because, number one, you're asking me what I'm going to do next, and I have to have it planned out what I'm going to do next. That is you indirectly acknowledging the fact that the people or the situation that I'm trying to combat, that is you openly acknowledging that this is a nasty, ugly situation. If you asking me, what am I going to do next? So that is you acknowledging that this situation is ugly. So you can't say, hey, that doesn't exist, and then ask me, what am I going to do next? Because you are inherently saying that this situation is ugly, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is when you ask what these young ladies and these young men are going to do next, you are completely ignoring what they've done up to this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because when they sit out games, what they're saying is everything I've done up to this point has not worked.
Facts.
LeBron James, this man has opened a school. The families in that school live on campus because they didn't have homes. Yep. And before he opened the school, this man said for kids in Akron, if you maintain a certain GPA, I'm going to pay for your education all the way through college.
Oh, yeah, he took care of home.
So this man has done all of this stuff. And let's keep in mind, in the city where I got some strong roots in, right, where a city where a lot of my socialization took place in one of his homes in a very exclusive neighborhood, the N-word was painted on his house.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, man, it's weird, man, because as a people, you know, and I tell people this all the time, man, you know, even just in common conversation, man, you know what I mean? We have the tendency to dwell on and accentuate the negative. You know what I'm saying? Hence the whole controversy sells, you know what I mean? That's
right.
Instead of accentuating the positive, we have a tendency to dwell on the negative. You know what I mean? We want to find something wrong with somebody.
Right.
We don't want to find, you know what I mean, the positive, you know what I'm saying, aspects in their lives. You know what I mean? We want to, they gonna fuck up soon.
Right. Fact.
Oh, but or oh shit, man, what? Man, remember about 3 years ago, man, when such did such, you know what I'm saying? We have that tendency, you know what I'm saying? So it goes kind of back to what you said about normalizing, you know what I mean, normalizing the positive format in our brains, you know what I'm saying? Normalizing the positive aspects and the positive, you know, the positivity that we can reach and that we can, you know what I mean, reach and grow with each other. You know what I'm saying? That's what has to be normalized. You know what I mean?
It's no doubt. It's no doubt. So, spot on. So you look at what he went through, right? That was in my city. In my city a few years ago. Remember this. Before 2020, wasn't there an owner that was talking greasy about us to his black girlfriend?
Yep. I remember. Yep.
With the LA Clippers, right?
Yep.
And so that happened. All the players did was go to half court, take their warm-up jerseys off, and throw them down, and they played anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we go to Milwaukee. One of their players experienced a situation with law enforcement.
Yep.
Didn't Sterling Brown?
Brown.
Yep. And we played anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm saying these things because going back to what I'm saying, our resistance, toughness works against us at times because people look back and say, you guys, you played through all of that stuff. Why do you want to stop now? So so what happens is with all of the things that we played through, all of the things where the ball continues to bounce, regardless of what's happening. As we continue to do that, the expectation is you will continue to do that.
Uh-huh.
That's the expectation.
Look, I'm gonna say something real quick. You know what I mean? For the family out there, you know what I mean? So men and women, you know what I mean? We'll if some of this is flying over y'all heads, you know what I mean? We're gonna relate it to maybe like relationships. You know what I'm saying? We all say we want consistency in relationships. You know what I mean? Women want consistent men. You know what I mean? Men want consistent women. You know what I mean? So what my good brother Antonio is saying, you know what I mean? You have to be. I think what I'm kind of capturing from what you're saying, you know what I mean? Be consistent in your model. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Don't just sign on when you sign on, then sign off. You know what I'm saying? When you sign off, you know what I mean? It has to be a consistent, you know what I mean? Consistent level, you know what I mean? That you're operating on. You know what I mean?
No question. There has to be a level of awareness, and this is what Chuck was speaking to earlier. There has to be a level of awareness with respect to us that is always there. Mm-hmm. And then it's gone. Not there, and then you get appeased by something, and then now it's gone. Right?
Yeah.
Because now, when you are appeased by something, that opens the lane for certain, iniquities. That opens the door for certain iniquities to continue to happen because you've been appeased. And so now, right, you've been appeased. So now you just basically fall asleep at the wheel. And then when something catastrophic happens, now you want to tap back in.
Exactly.
So that not only does that socialize us a certain way, that socializes others a certain way. So since they are socialized a certain way, let's again, I like AG how you put it, where we bring it into micro examples, right?
Right.
The micro examples are the ones to bring it down to a surface level, right? That's if you are sitting around with a group of people and somebody's telling jokes about your ethnicity and you okay with that, and you let them do it. Hey, you let them do it 4 or 5 times. Then the 6th time, now you want to tap in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what, Antonio? It's weird because I've been in that situation, man. I was I'm an electrician as well. You know what I mean? I was a union electrician, and you know how the union is. The union ain't us. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be all the way honest with you. You know what I mean? With fear of losing my job, because in my quote unquote, as we were speaking about earlier, radical moments when I had to say something. That Friday I have a check. You know what I mean? Hey, go back to the union hall. So you know what I mean? I had to kind of dumb it down. Like, man, they telling all these racist jokes and stuff. Man, are you for real? You know what I mean? And not say nothing. You know what I mean? Kind of had to. You know what I mean? Kind of lose myself in it because the money factor. You know what I mean? But at that point in time in my life, you know what I mean? It was just like. I got bills. I got, you know what I mean? I got this. I got, you know what I mean? I couldn't stretch my mind far enough to think about the future. You know what I'm saying?
No question. So I want to say something. You hit a nerve.
Yep.
We as a people, and I'm talking about black men in particular, we have, in terms of life expectancy, we are amongst the lowest. And when you start taking the groups and you start ranking them in life expectancy, we are close to the lowest in terms of life expectancy, or we are the lowest as black men, right?
Yep.
And we all know the crazy statistic that's out there: 1 in 4 of us by whatever crazy age. You know, I don't want to give a bunch of credence to that, right? We know that statistic, but if you are What Jay-Z say in Murder to Excellence? He said, they say by 21 I'm supposed to die, so I'm out here celebrating my post-demise, right?
Exactly.
For real.
So I say that because make it beyond that, whatever age that is, that they say 1 in 4 of us are gone by, right? What you just said about having to stomach that because you have to think about your longevity and your craft, right?
Exactly.
That's another part of the reason why we have a lower life expectancy, because you internalize that.
It's the stress.
You internalize that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You go home and look in the mirror and know that you had to dumb something down, or you had to.
Hey man, it's crazy you said that, man. Like I literally did have to go home and look in. Hey man, sometimes I cry. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Hey, sometimes I have some drinks and you know what I mean? My eyes be, and I'll be.
That's real.
I hit a wall, you know what I mean?
That's
just
real.
like
that's real talk.
Hey man, this is what I have to, you know what I mean? But I can't, you know what I mean? I got a kid to feed. I got, you know what I'm saying? I can't shut this down right now, you know what I mean? But at the same point in time, you know what I mean? It's just like going back to what we were saying as far as people can't judge you for what you do because they don't know where you're going. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm gonna suck this up right now.
Right.
But I know this is just gonna get me to where I'm gonna go. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's spot on. And that's a lesson that I had to learn. You know, that's a lesson I had to learn, and there were some situations where I had to learn that the hard way. And you know, because the mentality is, I'm taking on all comers.
Exactly.
Right. Chest poke.
That's the mentality. I'm taking on all comers. Right?
Yep.
And you have to, again, that's where I did the 180 with Jay-Z, because I learned watching him how to take on all comers.
Facts.
And that's what I learned, and that's what I continue to learn in my evolution as a man, and trying to pass that on to my daughter and pass that on to my community. And so, you know, it's as I watch these guys and girls compete, and I think about this, and I am, one of my sisters in this thing is Renee Montgomery. She opted out, right, of the season, and is doing great work. And then there are other players that stayed in the bubble, and in the wubble is what they call in the WNBA, and they're doing great work. And in fact, not only is the WNBA doing great work, they are actually leading the work.
They are really.
They're leading the work.
They are really.
They're leading it. They're leading and being louder than our comrades and our brothers in the NBA. They're leading it.
They're going. They're going extra.
Which is a good thing, man. Which is a good thing, man, because we've been working hard for, you know what I mean, our sisters to, you know what I mean, to support us. You know what I mean? Because yeah,
Right.
you said something earlier. You know what I mean? As far as the black men, man, you know what I mean. Not only are we, as far as being black, we're on the lowest point of the totem pole. You know what I'm saying? We're the lowest period. You know what I mean? We're the black women are ahead of us. You know what I'm saying? Other ethnicities are ahead. The black men is just, you know what I mean, kind of like, you know what I mean, set at the point of damnation. You know what I mean? We're just condemned. You know what I mean? So we need that support. You know what I mean? Especially from our sisters. You know what I'm saying? We need
no
that support from them.
There's no doubt. And we have to make that reciprocal and give that to them, right? You know, and continue to support them as well. If we're going to community build. And so I just look at it that way, where as I said, I've done a 180. And, you know, in terms of when I watch these players and where they are in their evolution as women and men, because again, and I say that because even while this is going on in 2020 with this level of awareness, oftentimes, you know, people that don't look like us, when they are looking and seeing all of these conversations that we're having take place, one of the things that they're so oftentimes are thinking is, man, like, you know, and black people are thinking this as well, like, you know, now, and I had to catch myself. Now that it's a safe space to speak out, other people are now joining and stuff. And no, and it's exactly what we're talking about. It's not that.
It's not organic. You know
what it really is, right? When they speak out, for a lot of them, what it really is when they speak out, it's all of these situations and experiences that they've had to internalize that they couldn't say anything about.
Yep.
So now it's like floodgates are wide open now. It's like all of this stuff that I had to internalize, right? They're not Johnny come latelys to the party, a lot of them. It's literally, I had to internalize all of this stuff in order to survive. I had to internalize this. Now I don't have to carry this burden anymore, right? And so now it seems like it's a never ending, it's a never ending story. Because it's really not. It really is a never-ending story.
I mean, man, look. Do you realize, like, why the majority, you know what I mean, of black men are either, you know what I mean, bald and gray, you know what I'm saying, by the age of freaking, you know what I'm saying, 37.
I'm about to say, but at a young age.
Hey, I was bald. Mine started at 23, dude. That's when I had to shave my hair off. You know what I mean? I had to George Jefferson. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? It's we put up, you know what I mean, your body, you know what I'm saying, your body and your bodily growth, you know what I mean, your normal functions and stuff, you know what I mean? They're all, you know what I mean, a reaction of what you're bringing into your body, you know what I mean? And we endure a lot of stress, you know what I'm saying? And our body dictates that, you know what I mean? Just like black men, quote unquote, you know what I mean? We're the highest in colon cancer, you know what I mean? We're the highest in, you know what I mean, high blood pressure, you know what I mean? We're the highest in diabetes, you know what I mean? Because we endure, you know what I mean, so much that, you know what I mean, that takes a toll on us, you know what I'm saying?
It takes a toll on you. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And so we have to really normalize as brothers, right? And we're starting to see this now in the athletic community in particular. Mental health, right? And mental health is very important. We have to recognize that. And you know, when you are going, I say this because, you know, one of the things about being an athlete is corporate America loves athletes because you can persevere, what we're talking about right now. You can multitask, and you can be a team player, and you can lead at the same time. You can do all four of those things. That's why corporate America loves athletes. But the perseverance part, and oftentimes when we see these athletes at the highest level, because of their athletic talents and what that gets them from a financial standpoint, they become the problem solvers for their family. They become in our community, we look to them to be the problem solvers for our community. And as I said, I don't think the athletes should have to take that on if that's not organically part of it.
It's not.
They don't want to, right?
Right.
So they have to take that on. So what you become is a hero to your family and your community, right? And I can say this as an athlete.
It's even deeper when you don't even feel like you're a hero. You know what I mean? Especially when you don't appreciate yourself. You know what I mean? To know that you're a hero. You know what I mean? And mental health is, man, hey, Chuck know it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a problem with telling the Big Money No Problems Talk podcast family, man. I see a therapist every week.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Every week, bro. You know what I mean? And it helps me, man. People say, hey, you see a therapist? I say, yeah. I said, what you do when you know what I'm saying, when your arm hurt, when your hand hurt, you bump and bruise yourself. What you do? You go see a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
so why would you not go see a doctor when, you know what I'm saying, you're mentally bruised? You know what I mean? Something hurt your feelings. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're mentally bruised, man. You have to, you know what I mean, go seek some type of treatment to heal yourself.
So you don't make emotional moves, right?
Exactly.
Right. You don't make emotional moves.
Exactly.
Right. So to your point, right? When you start talking about athletes and how they become these heroes and they become these problem solvers, because we're so competitive, one of the things that you do on the floor, especially when you get to a certain point, this is why corporate America loves athletes. You are able to assess a problem and solve the problem oftentimes without your coach.
Right.
Listen to Rajon Rondo talk.
Yep.
See the coach when that cat is out there, when LeBron James is out there, right? So I say that for a reason, not to be disrespectful to coaches, but when the great Kobe Bryant would talk, that's why he had to show detail on ESPN. This dude is a basketball savant.
Yep.
Right?
Get
the talent. This dude is a basketball savant. Right? So I say that for a reason, because you become a hero. One of the things that happens to heroes is they don't know when they need help. They don't know how to ask for help.
Right.
When you get yourself in a situation when you are used to being the problem solver, you don't know how to get yourself out of it, because you don't know how to reach across the aisle and say, hey, I need some help.
Hey, it's not even on superhero status, man. You know what I mean? For the family out there, man. Hey, how many times have y'all been in a situation where, you know, one of your close ones, your loved ones, come to you, you know what I mean, and you got all the good advice, and your advice is sound and it makes sense. It makes perfect sound sense, but you cannot apply it to yourself. You know what I mean?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Whether you know what I mean, whether you're on the boots on the ground or you're the upper echelon, it's all still, you know what I mean, it's all still the same, you know what I mean, the same schematic to it. You know what I'm saying? You still gotta,
no question.
Facts.
No question. So that mental health part, you know, is really big, especially when you are the person that is the solutions-based person, or you're trying to be the solutions-based person, because oftentimes when you are the solution, or you're the person that comes up with the solution, everybody comes to you with their stuff, right? They come to you with their stuff, but where do you go when you need something?
Exactly. That's a big thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that affects us. That affects us a lot. It affects us a whole lot.
Facts. So as you can see, man, we can talk about this all day. All day. Yeah,
all day.
These are the type of conversations that we had, man, but we got to go ahead and close it. But like I said, we appreciate you, man, Antonio, man. Go ahead and let the people know how they can reach out to you and everything.
Man, they can find me, and it is nothing special, because when I started getting out here, I couldn't think of anything creative. So it's A.Williams Basketball. That's how they can find me on IG, Facebook, YouTube, the whole nine, just there. Twitter, you know, so as I said, nothing creative in the spelling. A.Williams Basketball. Again, I appreciate you all for having me. We got to do this again. I got to have you guys on. Because again, man, although these are sports issues, these are really societal issues. They're just
societal issues.
It is.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. And AG, man, go ahead and let the people know how they can reach out there.
Hey man, y'all know y'all can reach us at BMNP _ENT on Instagram, BMNP _podcast on Twitter, Big Money BMNP ENT on Facebook, Big Money No Problems Casting at SoundCloud, Big Money No Problems Casting at gmail.com, where we welcome all constructive criticism, inquiries, shout outs, suggestions, anywhere. You know what I mean? We're on all major podcast platforms, man. Check us out on 92 KELZ, One United Radio, where we still gonna give you good content, you know what I'm saying, as it relates to radio and all of that. You know what I mean? Again, you know, I say we ain't hard to find.
At all, man. Like I said, man, I want to appreciate my brother right here, Antonio, man, for coming on. Like I said, me and him that had these type of conversations for a couple hours, just talking about like just everything, man, from our culture, history, sports, everything, man. So we definitely gonna bring him back on, man, because there's a whole lot going on as we continue to deal with what we deal with in 2020, man. So as AG said as well, man, you can reach out to us, Big Money No Problem Casting at Gmail. Any inquiries, man. All our social media platform, man. Check us out. We'll keep moving. So, as we always like to say, man, thank everybody for tuning in. Thank everybody for watching. Hey, salute. Peace.
Peace.